I met Mark Kreslins and Joshua Lyons as two individuals. To this day, I still do not know what party they belong to. All I know is that they're proud, red-blooded Americans who love this country like us. They started We Surround Them here in Frederick. Like I said, they are going to debut a radio show tomorrow on WFMD at noon called The Forgotten Men. They went out and spoke at the town hall meeting in Hagerstown on health care with Senator Ben Card. Their remarks hit home so closely that Fox, CNN, all had them on their programs to be interviewed. I'd like to introduce Mark Kreslins. Mark?
Great. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Well, good afternoon on this rain-dampened Friday. Thank you. Blessings to each of you who slogged out here to stand together and speak with one voice. You are freedom's vanguards. You really are. And as we gather here on this momentous day of remembrance, we gather to remember the evil events of that day back in 2001. We gather so that we don't forget. Likewise, we gather today so as not to forget the promises of liberty our founding fathers fought for. And folks, we're in a fight. We are in a fight. A real, knockdown, drag-out, no-holds-barred fight. And the outcome of this match will determine our children's and our grandchildren's future. And just like in a boxing ring, it takes both fighters to engage. Unfortunately, we've been getting pummeled lately with body blows and right hooks, especially for the last 70 years. And while we're reeling, we're not knocked down, and we're certainly not knocked out. So who's our opponent? And what will it take to win? We're not quite in the final round of this match, but we're close. And I gotta tell you, it's good to see all of you folks getting up off the stool and getting back in the ring. Our opponent is located about 50 miles south of here. And no, it's not just 1600 Pennsylvania Ave. More importantly, it's the 535 members of Congress and the elitism so prevalent up there. Now, what do I mean by elitism? Let me tell you, as I have a little bit of experience in this, where you see 25 years ago, I used to work up there for a couple of different members of Congress. So when I say elitism, I've seen it firsthand. And by elitism, I mean this. It's sitting in an office, looking at us citizens, and believing that they know better than us about how to run our lives, how to take care of our own health care, and how to spend our own money. It's feeling much bigger and more powerful than they should because some lobbyists provided them with a fact-finding mission to Cancun, or a president of a big corporation flies in on his Gulfstream 5 to take them out to lunch in Washington, D.C. Or when a constituent comes into your office and pleads with you to please stay within the enumerated powers listed in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, and they pat you on the shoulder and say, "Dear, dear, you just don't know how things get done up here. But don't you worry, I've got your best interests in mind." I lived it. I saw it. It's this type of elitism that has run up a $99 trillion debt that can never be paid back. And I said it right, $99 trillion. For as we all know, it's easy to spend other people's money, isn't it? It's easy to spend other people's money. Congress has grown so arrogant and so power-hungry, they will run roughshod over the rights and the liberties the founders and the patriots shed their blood to gain. My question is, the average citizen, just like you, have we had enough yet?
Yes.
Right. Thank goodness. Or in Dr. Phil's infamous words, how's that working out for us? Horribly. Now here's the hard part, and some of you might be offended at this. We're in this mess because we let them get away with the most unbelievable power grab since Rome. We didn't do our job to force them to live within the enumerated powers that they were given. And if we're honest, and if I'm honest, I looked the other way. I ignored what they were doing. Why? Because it didn't seem to affect me too much. Sure, I knew Social Security was in trouble and Medicare was in trouble as well, but I wasn't willing to confront my congressman and demand a solution. Sure, I knew the Second Amendment restrictions were getting more and more cumbersome, but I looked the other way. I said to myself, somebody else will catch this. Like you, I wrote letters and I called, but I also knew that those were just going to some legislative assistant, like me, and they would answer them with a very generic letter. And I'll tell you how I know that's how it happens, because that's what I used to do, folks. Someday I'll tell you the story about how things are really done up there on Capitol Hill. Well, those days either have to end or our liberties will. It is that simple, folks. So as I did on July 4th, together, let's point south to the real problem in our country. It's on Capitol Hill and the 535 kings that reside there, and challenge them with me on this. Members of Congress, we don't believe you have the constitutional power or authority to force us to buy health care, and you don't have the constitutional power or authority to tell us that we have the right to keep the insurance we have. Do you agree with me on that? Members of Congress, we don't believe you have the power or the authority to force us to open our wallets and fund programs that are not within the powers enumerated in Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution. Do you agree with me? Members of Congress, we do believe that we, the people, and we, the states, have the right, no, we have the obligation to oppose any and all tyrannical measures that come from the Congress of the United States. Do you agree with me? Finally, members of Congress, if you won't lead, if you refuse to lead, get out of the way. We the people will. Do you agree with me? Folks, like I said, we are in a fight, a no-holds-barred fight. And the outcome will be determined by who's more committed. Is it them or is it us? Thank you. In the one corner, we have a fascist-minded political class in cooperation with big governments hell-bent on growing the power and the reach of the federal government. And in the other corner, the David, we have us. Just the average Joe and Jill minding our own business, taking care of our families, working, and helping those in our community. And don't think the fight is any less than what I described today. It's a fight. The question is, are you committed for the long haul? For you see, thank you. For you see, this fight isn't just about health care. And that's important. This fight isn't just about cap and trade. It isn't even about the right to keep and bear arms. No, this fight is something much bigger, much more important. So important that 233 years ago, 56 patriots signed a document with this ending. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Do you remember that document? It's the document that started our country, and don't think that it didn't take incredible amounts of courage to put their names to that letter. Just like it'll take incredible amounts of courage and commitment on each of your parts to see this through to the end. An end where liberty, the sweet-sounding term, once again reigns supreme in our country.